Ladies and gentlemen, that is a Toledo welcome. Now, because we want to be seen on national television in Chicago, we have a schedule to follow. It is a great honor and privilege for me and the million residents of Toledo and Northwestern Ohio to welcome to the great city of Toledo, Ohio, the President of the United States of America and his daughter, William Jefferson Clinton and Chelsea. We welcome you, Mr. President, to Jeep Town, USA. The glass capital of the world, proudly growing along the banks of the mighty Maumee River and the shores of Lake Erie, our great Lake Erie alive with abundant fresh fish. Our city of Toledo is a city of all religions, where those of Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Christian, and other religions live, work, pray, and celebrate together. Our city of Toledo, as this welcome tonight indicates, is a city of proud, warm, caring families, the kind you, Hillary, and Chelsea represent. God bless the Clinton family. We are delighted to have them in Toledo. Our city, as the United States of America, is a city of hope and confidence, thriving through the growing opportunities of the expanding international marketplace. This fact is verified, Mr. President, by the September 1996 issue of Reader's Digest magazine entitled, quote, "Holy Toledo, What Brought This City from Rags to Riches?" And as I told them earlier, sir, it is your policies and the hard-working families of this community that did that for us. God bless you. Our city is a city, Mr. President, which introduced 50 years ago the first labor management council in the United States to build bridges of trust and cooperation towards superior products and services designed to win the world over. Ours was the first city, Mr. President, of the United States to introduce a new era of international municipal cooperation through the development of sister city relations some 65 years ago. Through your leadership, Mr. President, and dedication, we are a thriving city in the global age of worldwide markets and intense competition, and for that, we thank you, sir. Our Toledo economy is a powerhouse in the heart of the 7 Great Lakes states, which together represent the 3rd largest economy in the world. People in Hong Kong, Paris, or New York, or San Francisco may not know too much about Toledo, but they drive our Jeeps, they eat our Cheerios, they sit in front of our solder woodworking furniture, they eat tofu from our soybeans, corn on the cob from our glorious fields, drink from glasses of Libby glass, and insulate their homes thanks to Owens Corning fiberglass. As I told them a bit earlier, sir, you're the first president of the United States that has reached down to the local level, to the urban mayors and the urban communities and said, we want to help you fight crime. We have $10 million of federal money invested in our city, and last year, sir, we reduced the crime rate, violent crime, by 22%, crime overall by 10%. Thank you very, very much. Mr. President, as you well know, Leora Robinson and our friends at the Lucas Metropolitan Housing Authority were on hand at the signing of the One Strike and You Are Out bill, which demands zero tolerance for criminal activity in public housing. Marcy was there, John Glenn was there, but most importantly, citizens of Toledo were there and recognized by the President of the United States for their commitment to living and working together. Mr. President, in closing, we Toledoans look forward to your next administration, to the next century as you lead our country to continue prosperity and hope toward the beginning of a new American millennium. We are here to celebrate your successes, since they are the successes of all of the American people. Please keep Toledo in mind, sir. We care very, very much about you, your entire family, and this administration. The doors of this city will always be open to the Clinton family, the Clinton administration. Come back to Toledo, Ohio, soon and often. It is now my pleasure to introduce the finest congressperson in the United States of America, one who we need to cherish and appreciate, because it might be that at some time in the not too distant future, higher office may beckon our Marcy, but for now she is ours and mine. God bless you, Marcy.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for waiting. Thank you. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Under a full moon, along the banks of the Maumee, we warmly welcome the President of the United States, Bill Clinton, and his lovely daughter, Chelsea, to spend some brief moments with us. They've had a very long day, and they're full of energy, and they wish they could meet every single one of you. But we say to the President, welcome back to the industrial and agricultural heartland of America. Where the great ships that sail the lakes change their heading from north-south to east-west out to the global markets of the world. And we say to the President's wife, who couldn't be here with us tonight, Hillary Clinton, on Women's Equality Day, we believe here in Toledo and Northwest Ohio, it takes a family and a village to raise a child. And I got a message for Bob Dole, too. Quit blaming teachers. He ought to do some penance for what he said at the Republican convention. Make him work 6 months in a classroom. Our time up here is short. During your next term, Mr. President, Chelsea will turn 16 and of driver's age. And we hope that this keychain with a Jeep on the logo here, might make you come and test drive one here in Toledo. And Mr. President, we know you, like myself, turned 50 years of age this year, and our senior citizens at the Bayview Retirees Golf Course, now that you are 50, have given you a free membership to come back and golf anytime. We just came in on the 21st Century Express up from from Bowling Green, and it was a great thrill. It was historic to be on that car that Harry Truman stood on not so many years ago. But there's an equal thrill for any of you who have been a co-pilot in an aircraft with the Marine Colonel I am about to present. A four-term senator from our great Buckeye State who has served us with prestige and honor in all of his terms, who has been a successful businessman as well as a senator, but who still remains a Marine Colonel, who knows more about this nation's defense and has stood in its defense, who has done more to cut back the use of nuclear weapons around the world, who believes and has fought for those who are at the dusk of life as well as at the dawn of life. Please give a big Northwest Ohio welcome to our revered Senator John Glenn.
Thank you. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you. Get out there. Go. Go. Hoo, 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 hoo. Get him. Go. This is great, and it's been a great day today, and you know, I couldn't help but think back 4 years ago. It was Ohio that put now President Bill Clinton over the top at the convention. He came to Ohio, and on election night in November of that year, it was Ohio, when that vote was cast from Ohio and was announced, that's when the network started talking about he has it made, that's it. Ohio put him over the top then, we'll do it again in 1996. Good. Now, Mr. President, we're very proud to welcome you to this. It's been a great day across Ohio. Been a lot of enthusiasm, just like you have here. It's been a wonderful day, truly, and the crowds have been outstanding today all across Ohio. And you know, if we had watched that convention in San Diego, and if everybody took their message seriously, their message was basically that this administration hasn't done anything at all. Now, we know that's not true. Boo is right. And we know that that is not true. This president came into office and took on the economy as his #1 target because he knew that we had to have a strong economy in this country if we were to do anything else. And you know, when we passed that Budget Act in Washington in the summer of '93 under the president's leadership, the predictions were that all sorts of dire things would happen. Millions of people were going to be unemployed, they said, and there was going to be nothing but doom and gloom. And what happened? Well, for the first time in many, many generations, we've had the budget deficit go downhill from $300 billion down to $116 under his leadership. Great. And along with it, 10 million new jobs in 3.5 years, more than Reagan and any Republican president since the 1920s. And that's something to be proud of also. Real wages up, home ownership, highest in 15 years, the so-called Republican misery index they used to talk about all the time, at the lowest level in 28 years. So much for all that doom and gloom, they were wrong. Another target the president had was to rein in the size of government. As we stand here tonight, the size of our government is the lowest level it's been in a long time. Since President Clinton came into office, we have reduced the federal workforce by 248,000 people. They said they could do 272, and we'll have that by the end of this year. But as of now, it's 248,000 people less. Smallest size of the U.S. government we've had in a long time. That's leadership in reining in the government. Yep. Education. I don't know of any single thing I could think of tonight that is going to affect you and your lives and your kids' lives and your grandchildren's lives and affect the American position in the world any more than having the finest educational system in the world. We don't deserve a good educational system. We deserve in this country the best, the finest educational system of any place in this world. And that's what President Bill Clinton stands for. The other side, with the contract with America so-called, wants to cut some of those areas. They wanted to cut Head Start, Goals 2000, School to Work, Educational Technology, Pell Grants, summer jobs, so on. You know, many of you have your kids watching TV. If you think about this learning process, it starts from very early years, right on up through almost 1/3 of our lives to really be competitive. And what they have wanted to do, and the president, you know, I know, we can't move this country ahead if on TV you're going to take Big Bird away from the 5-year-olds, if you're going to take school lunches away from the 10-year-olds, if you're going to take summer jobs away from the 15-year-olds, or if you're going to take student loans away from the 20-year-olds. It just won't work. You know something? All those kids have grandmas and grandpas. And we're not going to stand around and see Medicare cut and health protection reduced for those elderly and Social Security cut and all those things. They need protection. They're beyond their normal working years, and we can be proud of protecting every one of them. The president also took aim at making us a better environment, cleaner air, cleaner water for all of our people. Along with that, cutting back on crime, made some major advances in that, and talked about some of the other approaches to crime and reducing crime this morning in Columbus. And it was a great day, all day today across Ohio. This is the beginning. This is the start. We've had 4 years. Now we can't see the clock turn back. We need 4 more years. So it's my great honor to introduce to you tonight. It's my honor tonight to join in your welcome to the President. Looking forward to that victory on November 5th. I introduce to you tonight a friend of Ohio, a personal friend of ours, a good and decent person, the current and future President of the United States, President Bill Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much to the citizens of Toledo. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for making us feel so very welcome tonight. Now, I want to tell you, first of all, I love Toledo, and I love to spend the night here. I love to run along the water here in the morning, and I'm delighted to be back. I've still got my Toledo Mud Hens cap. And I'm glad to be back. I also want to tell you that if you saw Senator Glenn and I talking a little while the program was going on, you need to know that at some point in about 15 minutes, I'm going to stop, and the whole country is going to see you, because we're going to be talking back and forth to our convention in Chicago. So I want you to help me. Will you do that? Now, in the meanwhile, I'd like to talk to you a few moments. First, I want to acknowledge your mayor and thank him for his vigorous leadership to help develop Toledo economically and to help fight the crime problem and working with us on it. Secondly, let me say, there is not in the entire United States Congress another member of the Congress who is as active and energetic and aggressive and effective on behalf of their constituents as Marcy Kaptur is for you. She's fought for your job, she's fought for your welfare, she's fought for your values. You can be proud of her. And let me say,
of Senator Glenn. I have known very few people in public life that I would say I admired as much as John Glenn. He is an American hero and a national treasure. He's too modest to tell you, but we did downsize the government, but we didn't put those federal employees in the street. We didn't cast them off and forget about them. We gave them early retirement. We helped them find other things to do. And we used the opportunity of the savings to do things like put 100,000 more police back on your streets, to bring your deficit down. And we use ways to save money and increase the effectiveness of national defense, increase the effectiveness of our ability to respond to emergencies. We cut the budget of the Small Business Administration, for example, and double the loan volume. We did those kind of things in large measure in 1993 and 1994 with the help and leadership of John Glenn, and he deserves a lot of credit for it. A lot of Ohioans know that Senator Glenn is one of America's leaders on the problem of nuclear proliferation. That's a big old word, but I'll tell you what it means now. During this administration, and thanks in no small measure to the leadership of John Glenn, for the first time since the dawn of the nuclear age, on this night, this beautiful night, there is not a single nuclear missile pointed at a child in the United States of America, and we can be proud of that. I want to thank the CityFest organization for helping this to become possible. I want to thank our Lucas County Democratic Chair, Keith Wilkowski, for his work on this. And I want to mention two other folks. One, the gentleman to my right who's sitting over there with Chelsea. He's one of yours. His name is Robert Wyckoff. He was wounded fighting for your country in World War II. But he had never received, after all these years, the combat medals he earned, including a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart. Well, 50 years too late, on our train tonight, just before we got to Toledo, it was my great honor to pin on Robert Wyckoff the Bronze Star and the Purple Heart he earned for our country before. Would you stand up, sir? Let's give him a hand. Thank you. There's another person I want to introduce tonight who is not here, and you'll understand in a minute. Marcy gave Chelsea the keys to the Jeep. One of the things I'm proudest of in America's economic recovery is that for the first time in 20 years, the United States is the auto capital of the world. We're producing more cars than the Japanese, and we're selling more around the world. And tonight in Chicago, at our convention, an auto worker from Toledo named Todd Clancy is speaking on behalf of the working people of America, and I know you can be proud of him. We have had a wonderful time. We've been to West Virginia, to Kentucky. We've been all over Ohio. We started this morning at the State Police Training Academy in Columbus. We've been to Arlington. We had an unbelievable rally in Bowling Green. We are having a good time taking a train across America's heartland. A train that gives me a chance to thank you for giving me the chance to serve as your president. To say that I have worked for you and to look in your eyes and tell you we've been up there for 4 years every day trying to help you go forward. And we'd like 4 more because America is on the right track. The right track. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're on the right track. And I'll tell you, I want you to watch our convention. We're going to have a good time. And I'm glad a few of our friends from the other parties showed up tonight with their sign. You're welcome here. We're glad to have you here. No, don't boo them. Don't boo them. Don't boo them. We're glad to have them here. But our convention is going to be a little different. We're not going to hide our leaders. We're going to part them out on the stage and say we're proud of them. And I have read our platform. I'm proud of it, and we're all glad to run on it. We're not running away from it. And we don't need to avoid our record or distort it. We'll just run on our record and on our ideas for the future. We're proud of it. We're proud of it. We're proud of it. I want you to think about what has been going on for the last 4 years. When I came to see you 4 years ago, and I asked you to take a chance on me, I had never worked as an elected official in Washington, D.C. I ran for president because I was worried about what was happening in my country. Because we had high unemployment and stagnant wages, because we had a rising crime rate, a host of unsolved social challenges, a widening rift among our people, a growing sense of cynicism about the ability of political leaders to make a difference in ordinary people's lives. And I was sitting out there in my home state, going to work every day as our state's governor, and I didn't like it. And I decided I'd try to make a difference. And I asked you to help me. And on June the 2nd, 1992, the votes of Ohio gave me a majority of the delegates I needed to be nominated. In July of 1992 at the National Convention, the delegation from Ohio cast the votes that put me over the top. And as John Glenn said, in November of 1992, when they called Ohio for Bill Clinton and Al Gore, the commentator said, "As Ohio goes, so goes the nation. They will win the election." And so tonight, my friends, I come to you to make a report, to say we are on the right track, but we have more to do. To ask you to join with me for the next 70 days, to tell your friends and neighbors, whether they're Democrats, Republicans, or independents, about what has happened in America these last 4 years, what the choice is in this election, and what we still have to do. Look at the record. Look at the economy. You heard Senator Glenn say that we brought the deficit down in all 4 years of this administration for the first time since before the Civil War. That's the last time that happened, in the 1840s. I'm proud that our Democrats did that. I wish we'd had some help from the folks in the other party, but I'm glad we did it anyway. I'm glad we did it. We paid a price for it. I'm glad we did it. Do you know that we would have a surplus in Washington today in your budget? A surplus, were it not for the interest run up when we quadrupled the national debt in the 12 years before I took office. If we didn't have to pay interest on the debt in the 12 years before I took office, we'd have a surplus in that budget today. We got to keep on going until we balance it to keep the interest rates down and the jobs coming back to America. That's what we need. But we have to balance that budget in the right way. Last year, I presented a balanced budget. The congressional leaders presented their balanced budget. They passed theirs and didn't want to talk about mine. And I vetoed it because it had cuts that were too big in education, in the environment, in Medicare, and in the Medicaid guarantees for our people. I vetoed it because it raised taxes on the poorest working people in America. I vetoed it because it allowed workers' pensions to be raided by corporations. And we spent the whole last several years trying to secure workers' pensions. So yes, I did, but I'm still for balancing the budget. We have cut the deficit 60%, and we're still going to do it. But we're going to do it in the right way. They can shut the government down if they want to. I will not be blackmailed, not ever. We're going to do it in the right way. Let's look at education. Today there are more children in Head Start. Our schools have funds to promote safe and drug-free schools that they didn't have before. They have funds that help them to stay open in after hours. We need a doctor here. We got one, thanks. They have funds to stay open after hours when these kids often need someplace to go so they don't get in trouble. There are literally hundreds of thousands of young people who now have lower cost college loans because of the initiatives we have. And the AmeriCorps program has given young people a chance to serve in their community and earn money for college. Those are things we did, and we're proud of it. We're proud of it. But my friends, we must do more. We ought to put 1 million children in Head Start. We ought to hook up every classroom in America, not only with computers and qualified teachers, but hook them all up to the information superhighway so every child has access to the best education. And we need to make the first 2 years of education after high school as universal in the next 4 years as a high school education is today. If you vote for me, that's just what we're going to do. I want to give a tax credit worth $1,500 to every family so you can go to a community college, and every single American will know at a very least we can all get a community college education. Whatever our age, whatever our station in life, we can all get it. I want to give every working family in this country a tax deduction worth $10,000 a year for the cost of college tuition for the kids or the parents to educate our people. That's what we still have to do. Look where we are with health care. We've worked hard to get the inflation rate down in health care for the first time in 30 years. This year it's running below the overall inflation rate in the economy. And right before I left to come on this trip, I signed the Kennedy-Kassebaum health care bill, which says to 25 million Americans, 25 million Americans, no longer can you lose your health insurance because you changed jobs, and you can't be denied because somebody in your family got sick. It is a good bill. It is a good bill. But we need to do more. In our budget, we also say, and you know here in Toledo from your lean years, there are a lot of good people who sometimes have to be unemployed for longer than they'd like till they get another job. We think we ought to help the unemployed to keep their health insurance for at least 6 months and their kids. We believe older women ought to be able to get mammographies. We believe people who are caring for their parents because they got Alzheimer's disease ought to be able to get a little help with respite care to keep the families together and keep going. We like that. We believe in that. And we can afford that. If you look at where we've come in crime, for 4 years in a row now in the United States, the crime rate, including the violent crime rate, has dropped. I am very, very proud of that, and I know you are too. But you also know that the crime rate's still too high, and we have to do more. We're about halfway home in putting those 100,000 police on the street. We have to finish the job. That's a big difference between the two parties. I guess a philosophical difference. They'd voted against the 100,000 police, and they've tried to do away with it a couple of times, and I've said no every time because I know that if you got those police on the street, they're not only going to catch criminals, they're going to prevent crime. They're going to get to know the kids. They're going to get to know people that can help to work with the children and say, don't commit that crime in the first place. Let's finish the job with 100,000 police in the next 4 years. Let's finish the job with the Brady bill. It's kept 60,000 felons and fugitives from getting handguns, and not a single Ohio hunter has lost a weapon. But you know what? We ought to finish the job of protecting our police officers and people at home. I believe that if someone has committed a crime of domestic violence against a member of his or her family, they ought to be covered by the Brady bill too. They shouldn't have a weapon they can kill somebody with. And I think we ought to ban those cop killer bullets. They don't do any good on the hunting trail, but they do a lot of harm in America. If you look at where we are on welfare reform, I've worked hard for 4 years to move people from welfare to work. 75% of the people in this country were under welfare to work experiments before Congress passed the welfare bill I signed, and we reduced the welfare rolls by 1.5 million people. We can be proud of that. But now that we have a new law that says if you're on welfare and you're able-bodied, we'll give your children health care, we'll give you child care, we'll protect your food stamps, but you got to go to work if you can. We've got to create work so people have the jobs they need. We've worked hard to protect the environment. We've cleaned up more toxic waste dumps in 3 years than they did in 12, and I'm proud of that. 50 million Americans are breathing cleaner air, and I'm proud of that. The meat standards are higher. The protection against pesticide poisoning is better, and I'm proud of that, but we have to do more. We ought to clean up 2/3 of the waste dumps in this country and keep on proving you can grow the American economy and protect the environment for our children. We know we can do that. Most important of all, my fellow Americans, I have tried as hard as I know how to say that we're going to get into the 21st century with the American dream alive for everybody who's responsible enough to work for it. We're going to get into the 21st century with America leading the world for peace and freedom and prosperity if, but only if, we make up our mind we have to go into that future together as one community. I don't like the fact that people are too often divided here by race, by religion, and by all kinds of other categories just to try to put somebody down so somebody else can be lifted up. That's not the America I want to live in. You look at what I've dealt with as your president trying to make peace in the rest of the world. Look at the Middle East, look at Bosnia, look at Northern Ireland. Look at the problems in Rwanda and Burundi in Africa. You'd think in these poor countries where people don't have enough to get along, they'd want to roll up their sleeves, work together, and try to help lift each other up. But place after place after place, people define themselves by being able to look down on their neighbors, and it's wrong. But we got to fight it in America. That's why we got to stand against those church burnings in the South. That's why we got to stand against. That's why if a synagogue is marked up or an Islamic center is defaced, we got to stand against that too. In my America, you can be whatever you want to be as long as you believe in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, and you're willing to show up, pay your taxes, work hard, and obey the law. You're part of my America, and we're going into the future together. That's what I believe. And so, we're on the right track to Chicago and to the 21st century. The best days of this country are still before us. Our children will do things we haven't even imagined yet. These children in this crowd tonight will have lots of jobs that haven't been invented yet. If we do what we know is right to create more opportunity for all Americans, to get more responsibility from all Americans, and to go forward and grow forward as one American community. That will take America into the 21st century. That will keep Toledo growing and going. That will make us very, very strong and keep us the hope of the world. That is the commitment I want from you. Will you help me for the next 70 days? Will you be there on Election Day? We passed the Family and Medical Leave Act. I love all these signs. We passed the Family and Medical Leave Act to help our families. 12 million American families got to take some time off without losing their jobs when a baby was born. Will you help us keep it and expand it? Will you stand for things like that? And in the next 4 years, are you willing to stand up and keep helping us try to move this country forward? Not only by passing laws in Washington, but by lifting people up in Toledo? Do you believe that we have to take responsibility for our children? And do you believe that if you're a parent, you need to raise your kids and take responsibility? But you need help from the local teachers, from the local churches and synagogues, from the people who run the police departments, and the people who look after the hospitals, and the people who look after your health, the health of your food. I guess what I'm trying to tell you, folks, is I think my wife was right, not them. It does take a village to raise a child. If you believe all that, you're part of the new Democratic Party, and we're going together into the 21st century because we're on the right track, the country's on the right track, and we're going to take the right track all the way into the best days America has ever known. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now do it. Thank you. Thank you. Folks, hello, Chicago, can you hear us? We're here. This is Toledo, and we say hello and thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Well, folks, I just want to say to our delegates in Chicago, if they can hear me. Josh, can they hear me in Chicago? I want to say to the folks in Chicago, Chelsea and I are proud to be here with Senator Glenn and Congresswoman Catherine and Mayor Finkbeiner in Toledo. We're proud. We're bringing the 21st Century Express to Chicago because America's back on track and we're on the right track for the 21st century. We're coming right at you, and we want you to know that those of us who are here in Toledo tonight are proud of you in Chicago. Thank you, Christopher Reeve. Thank you, Sarah and Jim Brady. Thank you all who spoke. Thank you for loving America. Stay with us, and we'll be there. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you.